Welcome back to Y&R For Life, where we talk about all things Y&R related. We talk about what's going on, my predictions, what do I think's going to happen. Hey, we even talk about fashion on this show from time to time because I'm a big time fashion girl, so we got to spill the tea about that. If you're new to this channel, my question is, what took you so long to get here? And if you are returning, what's up? Long time no see. This week I felt like I had a question mark over top of my head because there was things that happened. I'm like, did they just kind of like mishmash stuff in? It was a little odd. So I don't even know if I'm going to remember everything because it was just like, I felt like I was in some sort of fog. But whatever. But we'll see where we go. We'll see if we can get at least the gist of what was going on this week. Okay, couple of disclaimers. If you don't want to know what's going on, you kind of want to get caught up on your own, this might not be what you want to see or hear, but I am so grateful that you are here. And if I happen to, leave something out, it could be I forgot or it just wasn't newsworthy. It's the nature of the beast that I like to say. So it is what it is. And if you like this type of content, you like what you see, you like what you hear, it would be so kind if you hit that like and subscribe button and hit the bell notification. Don't forget to hit the bell notification so that you don't miss a single video that I post here on Y&R For Life. And share, share, share. Why? Because sharing is caring. At least I like to think so. So I'm feeling a little bit better. I still sound kind of nasally. This is not my regular voice, but at least I'm nowhere near what I was last week. So I'm very, very grateful. All right, so in no particular order, let's see what we come up with. All right, who should we talk about first? I'm actually going to talk about the funny moment first because it was funny. Where's my bears? I should have brought out the bears again. So there was Phyllis and Cricket, and of course, Danny Romalotti, the Mr. Nice Guy. Anyway, so Phyllis shows up at his door. And his door? Well, then again, he did say that it was his place. So I don't know. Okay, Danny, whatever. So Phyllis shows up at his door. And she's bringing like some sort of, I think it was a bottle of wine or something. It was his favorite, some sort of peace offering, whatever. And he eventually accepted it. And she barged her way through. She just barged her way through and she's, Phyllis. And she's like, well, I just want to clear the air. I just want to talk. Da 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 da. All right. So she ends up basically saying, she likes him. In theory, she wants to pursue a relationship with him, and he's not ready. He's not willing. That's not what Danny Romalotti wants to do. Okay, so he's like, I've made it abundantly clear to you and Christine, like, I need a break from all of this craziness. Like, this is too much. Anyway, so fast forward, brap, brap, brap on the door, or ding dong, whatever went the bell. It was, of course, none other than Cricket. So she sees Phyllis in the background. It was like, almost like, again? I can't get rid of her. That's the look on her face. All right, so she comes in and she's bringing some sort of peace offering. What was it? Was it a plant or a tin cup? I can't even remember what it is. I might be just pulling things from the sky. Because that wasn't the funny part. We're getting to that. Chill. Okay, so she brings whatever little peace offering she she brings. And Danny's like, oh great. So then of course Phyllis and Cricket start going at it. They got start bickering with one another, and at one point Cricket's like, I don't put octopus in people's bed. I don't put octopus in people's bed. And Phyllis like, oh, almost like, you're not over that? So anyway, the two of them are going at it toe to toe, left, right, and center. And Danny was like, okay, if you guys want to continue this, can you like take it outside? Like I don't want to be a part of this. Well, they're still going. So much so that, wait for it, Danny packs his little laptop bag or whatever, throws it on his shoulder, and walks out of the apartment. See, I can't even laugh. Oh my goodness. He walks out of the apartment, closes the door. You hear the door close. I don't know how those two missed it. So they're still going at it. And then next thing you know, Cricket, whatever epiphany or crescendo she comes up with, she's like, isn't that right, Danny? Danny? And she's like, oh, you did this. And Phyllis is like, I did nothing. Like, okay, you either like Phyllis or you don't. And I like Phyllis. Although her little story about, I'm changing into this new woman, and yeah, no. The old me, this is what she tells Danny, the old me would have just welcomed all of this, like the most, what did she call her? Not loathsome, but she used a term, something like that, you know, person that she ever has met or known or whatever. Oh boy. So yeah, Danny just toddled on off while the two of them were still bickering, and Phyllis kind of, stuck it to her and was basically saying, that they have something going and whatever between her and Cricket and Danny, that's long gone, and he don't want her. And she's like, no, we have chemistry. Hold up, wait a minute, Cricket. Like I'm going to say a few weeks, but okay, maybe it was about a month or two ago. You were pining over Paul. You went to, what was it? Where is he, in Portugal? You went to Portugal to be with Paul, and the two of you had like a decent time until, something happened. Then you realized, and you were like, meh. Now all of a sudden, a few weeks with Danny, next thing you know, we have history and we're meant to be together. Wait a second. How many years were you with Paul? Okay, I ain't buying that, Cricket. That's totally for Phyllis's sake. Done with that story. Well, anyway, Danny ends up at the club, and he basically is, sitting there, all by himself. And who walks in but Lauren? So Lauren's there in a nice little outfit. Was it a red dress? Like total lady in red. She was looking good. Hair on point, but whatever. That's my little side note. So she ends up seeing Danny there. Hey, stranger, long time no see. And she basically, has this little conversation with him. And he basically says he can't wait for his tour to go back, and because the two of them are going at it, and he's basically professing his love for Cricket, but at the same time, it kind of sounds like he is, has feelings for Phyllis. And Lauren calls him out on this. And he kind of is left in this conundrum, if you will, dum dum dum, in his mind. Like, and you know what? I think it's pretty evident, Danny, that you really have feelings for Phyllis. You just don't want to admit that. And so you're holding on, with bated breath for Cricket because it's familiar, and you know that whatever you had with Phyllis all those years ago was kind of dreadful, so be it. But whatever. I'm just saying, we all know that you want Phyllis. I mean, at least I know, but that's just me. All right, that was the funny moment. It warmed my heart. All right, let's talk about okay, Jordan, Seth, and I have a prediction concerning them. Well, concerning Seth. So Jordan and Seth and of course Nikki and just a whole plethora of people. So Jordan had convinced Seth to basically, go and meet with Nikki. I don't even know what the point and purpose of her doing that is, but okay, she's calling herself Isabel, saying that she's some, you know, um, previous friend from the Alcoholics Anonymous group, and I guess there was some falling out, and her and Nikki, she wishes that they were friends again, but she's kind of almost like living vicariously through Seth. All right. Again, why she's commissioned Seth to go to Nikki, I don't know. Well, he ends up at Nick, and I'm fast forwarding here, like big time. So he ends up going to the ranch after he spoke with Nikki over the phone. She gives him, the address, which I could have sworn he had been there before, but whatever. So he's like, "Oh, nice place." They go in. He sits. He goes in. They sit down. She's like, "Oh, yeah, how do you want your coffee? I made coffee. You take it black, right?" He's like, "Good memory." Oh, well, how much memory does it take for just black coffee, Seth? But okay. So, anywho, they have their little conversation, and Seth basically tells Nikki about how the fact that he ran into an old acquaintance of hers, and she's like, "Well, who is it?" And he's like, "Well, she prefers to be anonymous." Well, if that ain't creepy, I don't know what is. Like, who says that? All right. Isn't that like a telltale sign of sting, something's going on? That's just me. All right. So he doesn't tell her, and I don't even know what their conversation was about, with the exception of at the end of it, he's like, "Well, maybe we can like be friends again, and maybe go out for the occasional coffee or tea if you don't mind, and whatever." Because she was like, "Are you drunk now, or like are you just on like a buzz, or like what's going on now?" And he didn't say anything, but whatever. So he leaves, and insert green screen. He texts Jordan that he was at Nikki's, or I don't even know what he. She just I don't even know what he texted her per se, but she was at the bar, and she was all too happy to receive this text message. Anyway, moving right along. um let's cut away. I will give my prediction, but let's cut away to the fact that Nikki is in her, at the ranch, and she's literally like losing her noodle over the fact that she is stuck in ranch prison, if you will, because Victor does not want her out and about on the streets because he's got his security details, and he feels that she's going to be the safest being at home. Okay, fine and fair, but you gotta admit, Victor, you, you, she's not a little kid, and she's gonna feel, the term homesick is not that you necessarily want to be home. Like, you're sick of your home. You want to get out. I know that happens for me. So, yeah, I agree. Nikki wants to get out. All right. So she goes to the window and she's like, "Oh, Jordan, if you're out there, come get me. Let's just end this." Well, cut away, and then you hear like someone open the door. And I'm thinking, well, that's weird. Well, maybe it's not, because nobody ever locks their doors in Genoa City. Like, never. They just pull the door closed, and that's the end of the story. But okay, nobody uses any keys to get in. How they just open up, and that's the end of that. And so she hears the door open. She's like, "Who's there?" Okay, have we not watched enough horror movies to know you don't ask that question? And what is the criminal's gonna be like? "I'm here, I'm here." Anyway, it was Lauren. And she, oh my gosh, Lauren. So she's like, "Oh, what's going on?" So anyway, Lauren ends up speaking with, I guess, the head of security, saying that, everybody has checked in and everybody's accounted for, everything's safe, whatever. So then Nikki's like, "I'm losing it. Like, Victor has me stuck in here. Like, I can't take this, whatever." She's like, "Okay, well, let's work on this." "Lauren, I can't do it. Take me out of here, please." So she's like, "No, no, 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 no. I cannot do that. Victor has, basically told me to make sure that you stay at home." And she's like, "Take me anywhere. I don't care. I'm losing it in here. I feel like I'm climbing the walls. Like, this, I can't take it anymore." So she basically is like, "Take me anywhere that doesn't have alcohol. I don't care. You can, make sure that I don't have a drink." "Well, you just said take me somewhere that doesn't have alcohol. So what are you drinking? You know, Perrier?" I'm just curious. And she's like, "You could even, like, what did she say? Chain me to you? Like, joined at the hip? Okay." And she's like, "All right, I really don't want to go against Victor." She goes, "But I will have your security take us to Crimson Lights." Wouldn't you like that? Not security, but a driver. "Driver, driver, take me to Crimson Lights." So, take her to Crimson Lights, and we'll have one cup of tea. Man, she couldn't even get a coffee if she tried. One cup of tea. And then we're going back. Well, of course, by the time she gets back home, who's there? Victor, of course. And he just laid into Lauren, like, basically, "What's the matter with you? Didn't I tell you?" And so Nikki was like, "Nope, don't even go there. I was the one that told Lauren to take me out of here. Don't blame her. I just kind of wasn't going to take no for an answer. Like, I can't take it. You can't keep me locked up in here, whatever." He's like, "But you're safe. That's why you're here. This is the safest place for you." All right, whatever. So that was pretty much the end of that. Pan over to Seth meeting Jordan at the bar, and he basically sits down with her, and she's like, "Tell me everything. I'm dying to know." Of course, she used the word dying. Dying to know. And so Seth basically tells her, about, it was a decent conversation, it was all right. And then he's like, "I'm just curious. Why don't you, like, go and, contact her. She's like, oh, it was bad blood or bad history or whatever she said. And he's like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Why would you push me, but like you're not doing it for yourself? You've got to take your own advice. And she's like, no. Oh, okay. And then he's like, I know. Let's all go to an AA meeting together. Dum dum dum. He's like, what's going on here? Is there something that you're not saying? Here comes my prediction. I feel as though Seth is going to be the one to save the day. S on his chest, like Superman. Seth is going to save the day. He's going to figure out this whole Jordan situation, and he is going to, like, just take her down because she messed with him, and she's messing with his friend. That's my prediction. I think he's going to do what Victor probably won't be able to do. Which leads me to Victor, who has contacted Michael Baldwin to basically get Claire removed from the hospital because he wants to use Claire as bait to get Jordan to come out of hiding in order to catch her. So Michael's like, you really want to use your granddaughter? Like, she's just trying to get better, and don't you think this is going to harm her recovery? Like, what? And Victor was like, whatever. He's like, I'll make sure that she has the best treatment and stuff like that, but yeah, Nikki basically comes first. And I kind of don't blame him. But like I said, Claire is like the model child right now. But I fear as though down the road, because of all that she's been through, she's going to have like the little demon on her shoulder that's just going to make her do like bad things. Just my thought, what have you. We saw Claire playing with, what was the little girl? Nadia. Playing with Nadia, and I think it was gin rummy or something like that, playing in her room. And Cole and Victoria saunter in and see this, and it was like a lovely mom and dad moment watching their albeit little girl playing with cards with this little girl and smile on her face, and they just kind of warmed their heart. Okay, they had their little sunny moment. Well, after they had a little conversation with Claire about, it's so nice to see you this way, and, looks like you're making some progress. And Claire's like, yeah. And she's like, I like playing with Nadia, but I could see that, through it all, she's having a rough time. And, but I just like being around her and helping her whichever way I can. Prediction, she's going to end up turning out like Sharon, which we'll talk about that briefly. And she will now be like, I don't know, some childhood, helper, if you will, like someone to help the children get over trauma or whatever. I just feel this coming. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, many times, but most times, yeah, I feel like I could read this stuff. Or maybe I should. Hire me as a writer. Shameless plug. All right. So just then, while they're having their little conversation, Victoria and Cole both happen to get a text from Michael, saying that he wants to meet with them. And Claire's like, "Oh, is there something the matter? Oh, we don't know, but we'll let you know." Well, at some point in there, that's where Victor had come to see Claire, and basically he's saying that he wants to um, basically get her out and help get Jordan out of hiding, if you will. So she's like, well, whatever I can do to help, that kind of thing. And yeah, by the end of her scenes, she ends up calling I guess it was a nurse, and saying, she wants to make a phone call to her lawyer, Michael Baldwin. When did Michael become your lawyer? Was it from before, when you were doing terrible things? You got him on retainer too? Just curious. All right, so we leave that as that. All right, so when I said, speaking of Sharon, and that I'll talk briefly about her, the backstory is that Connor was somehow, I don't know if he's fully diagnosed, but the thought is that he has OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. I could not say it quickly because I would mess it up. And given the fact that I don't sound like myself, it would end up being like blah, 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 blah. Okay, so OCD. And Chelsea's like, well, they did say he's washing his hands a lot. And Adam was like, well, maybe he's just a conscientious kid. Oh boy. All right. He's living in La La Land. He doesn't want to believe this about his son. And okay, I get it. Nobody wants to think. You want your child to be, in theory, perfect. You don't want anything. And again, I'm speaking as a parent of a 7 and 8-year-old. You want to make sure that there's nothing wrong with your child. I look at my kids and I'm like, if I see almost like a hair at a place, I'm like, oh no. So I get it. But so Adam and Chelsea have their little conversation, and Adam, of course, is in denial, but he's like, look, I want to talk to the source. Who's the source? Sharon. So they get Sharon to come over and basically tell her the story about this OCD. And she's like, well, I'm not an expert in it, but, and she gives her little points concerning OCD. And she's like, look, he hasn't been officially diagnosed, and you guys are great parents. The whole time I was sitting there when Sharon was at Adam's place, which I didn't even know he had a place. Like, maybe I did, and it just, you never see him there because he's always at Society, which he was there this week with Sally. And we'll talk about that. So the whole time I'm thinking, Chelsea, I distinctly remember when you could not stand Sharon's guts. There was nothing kind that you had to say about Sharon. And now all of a sudden, thank you so much, Sharon. I really appreciate it. Like, you've been a great help. Okay. So it didn't take much for them to almost be like bosom buddies. Just saying. That's what I thought when I was watching this whole scene. I kind of didn't really pay that close attention to what was being said. I was just like, wait a minute. But that's me thinking about the show and thinking about past stuff, and sometimes I miss things. 'Tis what it is. Oh, don't tell me you don't do that too. Anyway, so they're going to try and figure out this whole OCD um, potential diagnosis, the possibility. And they're scared, but they're going to do it together. Okay, great. So, speaking of society with Adam and Sally Spectra, again, former girlfriend, where her and I were like, we were tight, and now we can't. Not anymore. So basically, Adam breaks it down and tells her that he spoke with Daddy-O and Nick to try and get her design company folded into Newman. And Sally lost her noodle on Adam and was like, how could you do this behind my back? Like, what would make you think, like, are you kidding me? No, 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 no. And he's like, I'm just looking out for your best interest, that kind of thing, and I want you to succeed. And she's like, but you should have talked to me, and the fact that you talked to your father before me. And he's like, well, it's not off the table, but I just thought I would let you know. Well, she was mad as all hell. Well, he ends up leaving, and I guess that's when he went to his apartment and the whole Chelsea, the OCD. Chloe ends up meeting Chloe ends up meeting Sally at Society, and basically is like, look, this is what's going on, that's what's going on, and we're not sure we're going to have money to cover the rent, nor potentially even pay ourselves. So, like, what are we going to do? And Sally's like in a fog, and Chloe's like, I'm sorry, did you hear anything I said? And she's like, yeah, no, yeah, I got it. I know it's not good, whatever, whatever. She's like, I'm just thinking of what Adam did and behind my back and how mad I am. And of course, Chloe perked up, was like, oh, now you've piqued my interest. Tell me everything. What has he done now? And to finally make you, like, leave him for good. So, of course, Sally ain't going nowhere. And she tells Chloe what occurred. And Chloe's like, oh, great. So now he wants controlling interests of our company. Are you kidding me? This is madness. No way. And she's like, no, he's not wanting anything like that. He's really just looking out for our best interest. But, I'm just so mad that he did this behind my back and didn't talk to me. And, yeah. So she's like, well, this is Adam. This is what he does. Basically, he's a loose cannon. And we all know he's a loose cannon. That's who Adam is. And if you don't know that, you've been sleeping for a number of years. Okay. So eventually, Sally tells Chloe that it's not off the table, and if things should work out, it would be actually really good and lucrative for them. Anyway, we're going to see how that goes. I feel as though she'll get into there, like into Newman with her design company, but Victor is going to make sure that he has some sort of like puppeteering, over her. Well, this brings us to Nick. Poor Nick. Nick is like, well, yeah, he goes back to Daddy-O and says, have you put any more thought into bringing Sally's business over? And he's like, well, yeah, not really. And he's like, well, I think it's actually a really good idea. And I know that as much as Adam and Sally belong together, and maybe in theory he doesn't like it, but whatever. Relationships end. They come, they go. It is what it is. He's like, I think this is actually going to be a really good idea and a good fit for Newman and very profitable. Well, Victor's like, yeah, he's not saying no, he's not saying yes, but he's like, meh. All right. So we don't know, but I feel as though this is exactly what's going to happen. She's going to get, her wish to be at Newman, and then there'll be like this whole triangle between Nick, Adam, and Sally. But time will tell. And Victor is going to love every minute of it, just doing his little puppeteering. All right. Let's talk about, and I feel as though this might be, no, we'll talk about two more things. Okay, let's talk about Do-Gooder Chance. Do-Gooder Chance, he basically, he's being mentored by Billy Boy Abbott, who has, like, his head is getting so big with this interim CEO position that it is just one set of craziness. I don't know how he fits through the door with his ego. Anyway, so he's having a good time being mentored by Billy, and everything seems good until Do-Gooder Chance has an idea for a business proposal, which he had run by Nate, talking about having a festival, and he's run the numbers, and he thinks it'll be very profitable for, Chancellor Winters. Anyway, yeah, so Nate's like, yeah, I had that idea a little while ago. Devon kind of shut it down, but I think this makes sense. So he goes, I'll help you, with the pitch. So they toddle on off to the office, and they have a conversation with Devon and Billy about this. So Chance makes his pitch. Well, Devon's like, well, it sounds pretty good. I know this is probably the better time for something like this to happen. And Billy was like, shut her down. Nope. We're, we'll think about it, that kind of thing. So it's like a stupid little back and forth between him and Devon. I don't even want to talk about that too much, because it's just like, they're like children. They're like little children, and Billy's the worst. Devon is terrible, but Billy just trumps him. Ugh. So it's a whole power struggle between them. And then we saw Hillary, or sorry, not Hillary, but Amanda. We know it's Hillary, but anyway, we saw Amanda come back on the show as chief legal counsel, on Jill's behalf. Just, why did you bring her back into the show? I mean, Michelle Morgan, I love you. I get it. But, like, this popping in and popping out story is just too much. So she pops in, and Devon's like, oh, like, what are you doing here? And, oh, Jill sent me. Oh, okay. Oh. Yeah. And this is all because Billy was talking about how he wanted the Abbott name to be a part of the company. How old are we? And in defense of Devon, he was like, look, when Jill was running Chancellor as a sole entity, she didn't have no problem with it just being Chancellor. She didn't say nothing about putting her name in there, the Abbott name. And when we merged our companies together, there was never any issue with the name. It was Chancellor, whatever. And now all of a sudden, there's an issue with the name. Yeah, no, whatever. Devon's like, Lily and I talk, not gonna happen. No, we think it's gonna be very confusing for our clientele. And Billy's like, I beg to differ. And again, wah, 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 wah. Enough. I'm over it. Poor Esther even got involved trying to, save the day between the two of them. Like, you guys shouldn't be fighting about this and, like, get along. It just, no, I'm over that. Moving right along. So, scene fillers, we saw Tessa. She, by the end of the week, she was now the manager at Society, and whatever. And yeah, we saw Amanda speak to Abby, and yeah, that was just a mess. We saw Mariah here and there. Like, enough of that. So let's just move along. So the last one, again, we're going to talk about is Ashley. Ashley, Tucker, Audra. So Ashley, she, from her little fender bender, she has come up with this whole thing that it has jogged her brain to now say that Tucker, whatever he said, his side of the story is the truth. And she doesn't know why she embellished it and made it, worse than it was. But so be it. So then she ends up telling Tracy this, Jack this, you know. She ends up breaking into Tucker's room somehow and tells him this. And yeah. And he got to the point where, like, what? And he was like, look, get the hell out of my room. Like, enough of this. And he just ushered her away. And she's like, oh yeah. So she's playing little Joe Cool. And everybody's looking at her like, are you okay? Are you stable? They're not saying that, but you could see that they have this look on their face like, oh boy, this is a complete 180. Like, something's going on with her. So she's like, yeah, I'm fine, whatever. She went up to Audra and basically was like, listen, little girl, basically staking her claim to Tucker. And she ends up going and speaking to Abby and Devon and basically saying she made a mistake. And Devon, she hopes that whatever she had said about Paris and the fact that it was not the case, she hopes that doesn't tarnish, him reconnecting with his father. And Devon's like, yeah, no, there's many other reasons, I'm good. And yeah, so she's walking around very, almost like she's in an out-of-body experience. And yeah, so then by the end of the week, we saw Audra, her and Tucker, after they hit the skins, she ends up leaving the room, and all you heard is the door go, ch-ch. I'm thinking, okay, Tucker didn't wake up from that? Ch-ch. And she makes her way over to the Abbott estate. And she's like, look, you had your time to talk, and now it's my time. So that's pretty much how that ended. So now everybody's worried about Ashley and her whole mindset, because the way she's speaking is as though she is willing to take Tucker back. And I don't know. I think that she is, but I don't think that it's like rational thinking, Ashley. pre all this cray stuff. I feel as though she's almost like if you put her in a some sort of trance or something, and the not so logical side of her just kind of has taken over. Um, so time will tell. We'll see. So again, it was one of those weeks where it was like I felt like there was like a question mark going like what? So much was going on, and it just seemed like it was in a fog. But there you have it, folks. And that brings us to the end of this episode. So we're going to see what happens next week. Let's hope Jordan just makes her appearance and Claire does whatever she needs to do to get her out of hiding. And like, let's be done with that whole thing. Let's be done with Phyllis and Cricket and Danny and just, be over that. And yeah, let Nikki, I need to make a sign. Free Nikki. Free Nikki. All right. So if you stuck around to the end of this video, I'm so grateful. As usual, I love you lots. I really appreciate your time. Hopefully I'm feeling even better next week. Life spare. And we'll see what happens. Again, if you like this type of content, oh boy, you like what you see, you like what you hear? Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and hit the bell notifications so that you don't miss a single video that I post. And share, because sharing is caring. So you guys take care, have a lovely week, and I'll catch you on the next video. Bye.